The college football experience week 1 bracketology episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Yes, they just introduced college football, basketball as well. So hop on over there. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
This is Coach June Jones, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Bracketology? Football? No, what? Yes, we are here. College football has a bracket, and look. I mean, people are releasing. You saw on College Game Day this past Saturday. Brackets. Imagine what you could do with more than 4 teams in the playoffs. Oh boy, we're about to enter the most interesting college football season in my lifetime. YouTube.com/the college experience. So I am honored to, not only have this episode, but bring on this guy too. So he's not really a guest. He's just, this is us. This is our show. All right. Look, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swigga, Database Dan, aka Pick D. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
What is this bracketology stuff you speak of? Yes, college football and bracketology. This is a new show we will do every single week of the college football season. And if you've listened to our other shows, the Big 12 College Experience, some of those team previews I've been putting out here, and the college basketball experience, and some college baseball experience episodes. You know this guy, Thunder and Lightning here. Give it up for my co-host. He is the host of the Big 12 College Experience and the College Basketball Experience and the Ryan and Rush Show. Give it up for former video coordinator for Hall of Fame coach Bob Huggins, Frank Martin, Money Line Mac. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. The college basketball is great, but let's bring a little bit of college hoops over to college football and talk a bracket. Holy shit, what a concept. Welcome to the party, college football.
Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
Yes. EV Steel, same sweatshirt on, not outfit, sweatshirt. All right. And the truth is the air condition can be blasted in this fucking place. And I'm a pro AC guy. Like, I hate heat. But if you had seen me making the slides that I'm going to show you in a little bit, I had my different shirt on. And then I go, damn, it's getting cold in this bitch. Right. So then I go get my sweatshirt. And it might look like I am wearing yesterday's attire. I'm going to be honest. It's not like I've done much besides just think and design and talk college football for the past 24 hours. So in a way, I might as well not wear anything else. I mean, I'm not saying naked. I'm just saying as far as wearing the same clothes over and over. But I mean, hell, I'm so happy about this 12-team playoff. Maybe I will get naked. I'm gonna for you guys. I won't. Don't worry. But we were concocting this thing. You know, we've been wanting a larger playoff for our whole lives. And then we finally got a 12-team playoff, and we said, you know what, we should do a bracketology episode each and every week, because not only is, I don't think it's stopping at 12, by the way, after this season with all the home games that you'll see, 4 home games, I think those teams with that first round bye, if you're, I don't know, Georgia that gets a bye, say, then they're going to sit there and say, damn it, why are we letting South Bend, Indiana make $1 trillion at the bars? Their NIL collective is going to be better because the pizza joints, the bar joints, and then the season ticket sales. You're only strengthening your enemy in a way. So all those teams are going to say, wait a second. All those teams with the bye are going to say, no, we want home games. What's going on here? Give us the 16 seed, and they're going to expand this thing super fast, especially when you see all the teams that are going to get left out. But anyway, so we said we're going to do an episode about this every single week. Myself, Moneyline Mac, Moneyline Mac. How excited are you for the 12-team playoff?
Ecstatic, because I think you did this exercise earlier in the summer, and I don't know how many teams you came up with that realistically can say, hey, if we put it together, we win a bunch of one-score games, we get a nice schedule, maybe we can get that 11th seed. I mean, if you're in the SEC or Big 10, all you got to do is go 9-3. If you're in the Big 12 or ACC, 10-2 maybe, and then if you're a G5, all we got to do is go 11-1, 12-0, and hey, we're a part of the dance, and then anything can happen. So that's there's a lot of teams. I think it's in the 60s or 70 of teams where I'm like, it wouldn't shock me if they're there 2-3 weeks out, coming down the stretch and say, hey, there's a scenario where they can get in the playoff.
Oh yeah. The number that I had was somewhere between 65 and 70. And that was, I actually thought I was being, this sounds crazy. I thought I was being harsh.
Yeah.
Because I'm basically saying no. And this is all subjective, but I'm saying like no to, like Syracuse. And I look at their schedule and I'm like, no, they could get in. You know what I mean? Like they can I see a path to the ACC championship for Syracuse.
Yeah.
And then the irony is they might not even be playing one of the better historical programs because of the 17 team conference thing. Yeah. And then you have it might even be like 75-80 when you think about it. Anyway, shout out to the chat, youtube.com/the college experience. This will be something we do every single week. And I think I just want people to understand what we have. I don't think the average college football fan has really thought about this. I think this is like flash forward like 5 years from now or 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. This is going to change the sport so much. I think, once we see these home games, and I think you'll see situations where teams get screwed. Like, I don't know about you, but doing this exercise, and I have your bracket. We're going to show our brackets in a second, and this will be our bracket for this week. It might be different next week because, as you saw, like everybody on College Game Day, I think a slew of them had Florida State, and then they went out and laid a lemon there in Dublin against Georgia Tech. So we're going to adapt it, to see what we can do as far as like trying to be realistic. Mine is still intact. Luckily, none of my teams played week 0. Luckily, but I don't know that will be intact. But folks, we got on-campus college football games from the first round, right? We get a automatic group of 5 bid. Now, I'm sure there's going to be shenanigans here. Like, unfortunately, we don't have auto bids for every conference. That's the dream scenario. Hopefully, we'll get to it. Hopefully, they'll see the impact that this can have on everything, the American economy, let alone just I've always thought that college football is like the greatest sport on planet Earth, but at the same time, I also thought they did a terrible job at trying to bring in new fans. Mm-hmm. This is to me like giving them crack. You know what I mean? Giving like this is going to be, or just this is Marion Barry in the hotel room with the prostitutes and the crack. And just the cameras and everything. This is everything at once, and I think it's just going to ignite this nation of ours when they see how great it is that we have a 12-team playoff. So we're going to dive deeper in that, but I want to tell you folks out there, you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and it's football season. Merry football, folks. Everything in the merch store is 10% off with the promo code football. All right. So get on over there. You can get yourself a Eat Shit Pit t-shirt. All right. You can get yourself a Bet Detective t-shirt or a Mike Leach Swing Your Sword t-shirt. Get on over there. All right. Perfect for this time of year. All right. And remember, as always, to let it ride. All right. Back talking TCE. Yeah, I need someone to get me one. I'm like delusional a little bit.
Cloud brain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I've been lack of sleep for like a while, trying to get all these previews done. And then I this episode we're putting in there because we know this is exciting and this is going to, I think, become even more exciting and one of our most downloaded episodes. Because you're going to go out there and spread that fucking thing, people. All right. But so we talked about 70 to 75 teams. Mm-hmm. We have a 12. In case you're just tuning in, you're wondering what's different from this college football season than the next college football season. We have 12 teams making the playoffs. There are 4 auto bids from the power, or 5, I guess 5 auto bids, but 4 of them are from the power conferences. Remember, there is no more Pac-12. So, now I will say the 12-team model was based on them having the Pac-12, which is just hilarious. But we have the ACC champ, we have the Big Ten champ, we have the Big 12 champ, and we have the SEC champ. All 4 of those, whoever wins that championship game on December 6th and 7th, will be in the playoffs with a bye week. I would imagine the teams that lose in some scenarios will still get in, and the rest. And then we have the group of 5. The group of 5, the highest ranked group of 5, which they deem it won't be the AP's highest, group of 5. Yeah. Will also get an auto bid, and most likely they'll be playing the 5 seed. But so then you have teams. So that's 5 auto bids essentially, and then it's the highest ranked 7 after that. So, I'm curious though, do you think there's a shot this year that someone in either the ACC or the Big 12 could be a 3-loss or 4-loss champion?
Oh yeah. I laid that out today on Big 12. I had Oklahoma State getting in the title at 9-3, and I'm like, what if they beat K-State or what if they beat Utah? And then we've seen Gundy do this where he drops a couple games in September and then comes back. They get better and better. They sneak in via a 4 or 5-way tiebreaker, and boom, he's in. In the ACC, we'll talk about it. I mean, Florida State's the first ever 17th place, or 17th place team. So, I mean, they were the odds-on favorite. I think the ACC is going to be a crapshoot. I think people are penciling Miami in for whatever reason because they got a bunch of talent like they haven't had talent in the last 10 years. And I think both those leagues are just going to be wide open and very entertaining.
Well, the reason why I mentioned that is I wanted to follow up with this question. Mm-hmm. We could have a group of 5
leapfrog.
Either go. Oh, what's that?
I said leapfrog the Big 12 or ACC.
Yes, and I think. Look, I'm already loving that. Like, I've already turned in my. We're going to show the brackets in a second here, but I'm saying like, in my brain I like concocted how it's going to go, and then I was sitting there driving to work today in LA, which you sit in traffic. It's like the beginning of Office Space, where you just try to go to another lane, and it just, that one slows down, and then you go to the other. So you're just sitting there thinking, and I was like, I had it all mapped out, but I'm like, what happens if Boise State, if Memphis, if Fresno or Liberty or just there's so many big time schools that are group of 5 teams that have been good for a while or have that culture. If they go 11-1, if they go 12-0, would they take an 11-1 Memphis hypothetically, or an 11-1 Tulane or an 11-1 Boise, and would they put them over an 8 or 9 win. I guess theoretically that'd be a 9-4 Big 12 champ. Do you think that? Because could you imagine a game in Boise like they're hosting? Because that they would then get the. Well, no, they wouldn't because they would get the
No,
bye,
they would
right?
they would be a stupid neutral site. They should have the home
God.
team. I know.
Yeah, you're right. So wait, then they get the bye week though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just do you think they would ever do that? I mean, because at most years you have a group of 5 that either goes undefeated or with 1 loss. I mean, maybe not this year, but I'm saying like I can think of a slew of them. Didn't Marshall one year do it? Didn't Boise several years? Obviously UCF, but they're no longer in the. But I mean, Houston I think had a 1-loss season. You can go one by one. I can remember at ECU with a 1-loss season. So I mean, like there's a bunch. If this happens, would they jump over the ACC or Big 12? Do you think they would actually do that, or do you think this is just they would never? That's the problem when you have humans that are compromised, because like half the committee is like have a connection to like a school or a conference, if not all of them. But do you think that could? What are the chances of that happening? You think?
You ready? ACC? No, I think they will find a way. With whether if it's like a Clemson or Florida State, I mean Florida State's got an uphill battle. Miami, if it's one of those big brands, the Big 12, I feel like they have no problem sticking it up the Big 12's ass. Like nobody kisses the Big 12's ass. It's a leftover league that keeps on surviving. They don't have the sexiest brands: K-State, Utah, Oklahoma State. Colby, all I think you have to do is look at last year. What if Oklahoma State had beat Texas in that title game with 4 losses, and then Texas would have been like the 6 or 7, and Oklahoma State would have been the 4 seed with 4 losses, and then after losing to South Alabama.
Well, and then you would have SMU and and Liberty in last year. I mean, now they're in SMU's in the ACC, but I'm saying they might have hopped them. I don't know. It makes for an interesting debate. Or do you get the home game? Do you think there's a shot? Do you think there's a shot that they could ever get a home game? Like if they go undefeated, and let's just say the ACC and the ACC and Big 12 go fine. Like Utah goes 11-1, wins the Big 12 championship game, 12-1 season, right? And Clemson beats Florida State in the ACC championship, 11-2 season. Those ones are in, but meanwhile you have Boise sitting over here at 12-0. Do you give Boise the 5 seed?
It's a good question. So to put in perspective, Tulane's I think a great example. The Willie Fritz team 2 years ago, they finished, but this is with the USC. What were they before they beat USC? Like 12,
Yeah,
but they lost a game. I think you got to be undefeated. And I think it's also, Colby, got to come from the Mountain West or the AAC. I don't think the Sun Belt can move the needle as much just because they don't have the non-con opportunities like those other ones. And the floor in those leagues are a little bit lower than the AAC and Mountain West.
Yeah. Well, EB Steelers, shout out to EB. Says realistically they need to start in the top 25 though, or top 20. He says, but let me ask you this:
Good point.
But what if there's a win though over the champ? Like my point is like, what if Boise's actually never lost to Oregon? Boise's 3-0 against Oregon. If Boise goes to Oregon week 2 and beats Oregon, and Oregon ends up winning the Big 10 championship, I mean, how the fuck do you put in you'd have to put Boise at 5, right? They'd have an undefeated season and a win over a conference champ.
Yeah, they would be arguably top 4 at that point. If you got the win at Oregon, I mean that's as good a win as any win in college football that year. So it would have to be such an outlier. Not everybody has that opportunity of going to an Oregon or a Ohio State or Georgia. Well, we know not Georgia. Georgia doesn't schedule anybody in the G5 that's worth a shit.
What about Tulane's hosting Kansas State? This is a perfect scenario right here. Mm-hmm. Tulane beat them in Manhattan, and now they got them in Yeoman in New Orleans. I think that's week 3. I think it is. And if they beat Kansas State, but Kansas State wins the Big 12. But what if Kansas State has a great season, 10-2, 11-1? Right? What if that's their only blemish? Then it puts them. And I know this is all hypothetical, but I'm just saying, I would like. Could you imagine a group of 5 getting the home crowd? I don't know that they'll ever let them, because we know that, and that's why I wish we would take the subjectivity out of it. And that like, I want a playoff, but I want a playoffs with the machines. You know what I mean? Like
the BCS.
I want the BCS to do it, because there's too much human influence that I just, like we saw with Florida State last year. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So, anyway, folks, we're going to talk more about it. I want to tell you the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter. Or you can play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yes, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. We just did an episode on that. Moneyline Mac, NC Nick. I hop in for a little bit talking college football, Best Ball. I've been waiting for this for 20 years. Go check out that on our feed as well. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back talking college football. Yes, and
That's a
the
great
year, like,
point.
that's a great fucking point, dude.
Pitt.
Yeah. So Oklahoma State would have been what? I mean, I don't think people realize how realistic it is that this could happen.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be years where this happens. Pitt lost to Western Michigan that year.
Yeah, exactly.
They won the ACC, but lost a home game to a Western Michigan team that I believe was 6-6. Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I'm telling you, it's gonna make for high fucking drama, because I think, you could really make the argument then. And I don't recall. I know that was 2021, but I'm like, was there a group of 5 that went undefeated in 2021? I don't remember. I don't think so. Because I think UCF had teetered off a little bit there, or maybe that would have been their second year. I don't know. I'd have to go back and do a deep dive on it. But we're gonna give out our brackets, all right, and we're gonna build the case. And I want to bring up games that I think would be pivotal going into this week for your brackets. You know what I mean? And I know our brackets will see, but in general, we have playoff games happening this week in a sense. I can't believe people said that this leads to, it devalues the regular season. It devalues the regular season. And people would say, well, Florida State lost, they could still make it. They went undefeated last year. The whole season was devalued last season. It meant nothing.
Yeah.
So it meant nothing. The whole season they won every game on the schedule, and all those games were deemed useless in the old system. I would push back, but I just think that there's so many more meaningful games. So let me I'm going to show my bracket first. I'm just going to build the excitement around the locations that we will be having key playoff games. And this is week 1. Obviously, if a team loses, I might rethink and shuffle. We're going to keep that rotating chair going around. I'm going to ask Mac for his picks every week, but we will highlight the big time games that have major playoff implications for each and every week based on what we think. Obviously it's all subjective. And, but anyway, with that further, without any more bullshit out of my mouth, here's my bracket. All right. So as you see, we got Pick Dundee here, and I do have my East Carolina Pirates. And let me switch over so you can see this. I do have my East Carolina Pirates playing in College Station. Wait, I'm fucking this up, ain't I? Let's go this way. There we go. I have them playing in College Station against Texas A&M. The logic here with ECU is this is like the first year that I can really recall ECU not playing a Power 5. I want to say somebody canceled like 3 or 4 years ago, but I can't recall who off the top of my mind. But I think there's I know we won 2 games last year, but I think there's a path because we don't play a lot of the good AAC schools. and we get, to me, the only really good one at home in UTSA in Greenville. And in case you didn't know, the AAC will play your championship game at the best record in the conference. So even when we would go to play Memphis or, Tulane or South Florida, they would have to come to Greenville if the season goes the way that I plan, or the way that I, mapped it out. So I have East Carolina playing at College Station. First off, if you haven't been to a game at Kyle Field, it is phenomenal. It is college football. I don't think they thought this thing out with those, I'm an old school guy. I don't like the helmet technology of like, I get my plays on my helmet. I think part of football is you have a coaching staff that is trying to figure out what the fuck that signal is, right? I think that's part of the fun of college football, but I'm in the minority. I understand, the youth is very dumb and, they, right. No, but I understand I'm in the minority, but here's where I don't think they thought this out. That might work in the NFL. I have been to probably 20 to 25 NFL games in my life. That shit don't get loud like college football. Good luck trying to radio in when you're in Happy Valley on a Saturday night. All right. Good luck. You're going to be like, huh? You're not going to be able to get that thing in, right? You're going to be like looking at the sidelines. You're going to be quickly trying to grab your poster board, write a sign down again. They didn't think this through. But can you picture College Station? College Station is phenomenal as far as the fan turnout, the buy-in to college football. So just the fact to have a playoff game in that environment, whether it's my East Carolina Pirates or not, whether it's Liberty, whether it's whoever coming in there, is such a win for the sport. All right, everyone's in their goddamn overalls. And as Mike Leach would say, they're not really in the Army. But my second matchup, and I forgot to number these. I'll number these next time so folks. But that's the 5-12. All right. But my second matchup would then be the 9-8, and Tennessee would be 9, Iowa would be 8. Can you imagine Kinnick Stadium? Oh my God. Kinnick Stadium. Like I can't believe for this many years we couldn't get this system. And this isn't even a good system. Like there should be way more home games. The second round should be home games too. Right? Like this is just like, it's mind boggling that we didn't have this for so long. Like, no, let's just do an Outback Bowl in Orlando. What? I think this game would be absolutely like fantastic. You'd have to see Tennessee go up into the cold. Josh Heupel, Iowa has been a different team under Kirk Ferentz when they're at Kinnick. Ask Ohio State, ask Penn State, ask Michigan. It's been that's a hard place to get a dub. Then in the next one, I got the 6-11 matchup, and I have the Oregon Ducks taking on the LSU Tigers, but that's at Autzen. What is this? December 20th it is?
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me, man? This is amazing. LSU, this game would be so fantastic. You're putting part of what makes college football so great is the environments, the stadiums, the fan bases. I never understood. They're like, let's not have that, and let's play a game with a half-empty stadium in a bowl game. It's one of the stupidest. It's amazing that it took this long to concoct this thing. So then I have after that Michigan at the Golden Dome taking on Notre Dame, and I think that personally, out of all four, would be the best one. I mean, LSU Oregon would be pretty phenomenal, but I just think traditional college football powers I think Notre Dame Stadium is like one of the most beautiful things on fucking planet Earth. So that would be just absolutely phenomenal. Now doing this exercise, it's very challenging because you have to select, like I wanted originally to put Penn State in, right? So I went through this exercise of like, try forecasting all your games, folks. I had Penn State at 9-3, and I was like, oh, Penn State, Happy Valley is going to be fantastic. They're going to be 9-3. They're going to be in. And then I thought, wait a second, though. Okay. No. Penn State might not get in if there's another 9-3 team out there that say won the national championship the year before, right? And I know the NCAA is coming down, but the NCAA doesn't have anything to do with this. This is ESPN here, right? So then I was like, money. Yes, and the Michigan draws a huge number, and also they don't have a head-to-head to go on. If they're both 9-3, they're going to take the reigning national champ, in my opinion, right? And then I thought, could USC get in? And then I was like, well, no, I have them 9-3. But I have them beating Penn State, but losing to Michigan. So I was like, they're going to take Michigan. My point in this exercise, and when you go through and do this with all your teams, major fan bases are getting fucked over. You know what I mean? And that's why they're going to expand right away. Because the reality is Michigan didn't play Penn State. So if this happens, like I say back, where Michigan's 9-3, they beat USC. Penn State's 9-3. They lost to USC. The subjectivity, you just raised the subjectivity on this by before it was always, subjective at 4, but now you're going to have a lot of 9-3, 8-4 teams. So it's going to be chaotic. And before you were fucking over a small fan base, Marshall's getting fucked over, right? Look, you fuck over like Penn State or Texas or something. They have a lot of power. You know what I mean? Like there's politicians that, presidents perhaps that are connected to those universities. So I fully expect them to, expand that thing. And I'm curious, when you ran your exercise, I want to get to yours and I'm going to go game by game on this, but did you have that same problem of I forecasted and I'm like, fuck, I have way too many 9-3 teams. Yeah. Right. I had LSU get in over Texas, but that's going to be a problem.
And you kind of have to put your committee goggles on. It's like, what kind of matchups do you think they want to see? What do you think the narrative is come December when they release this bracket? It is hard. And we're going to talk about it here in a minute too. There's some games this weekend that are huge for swing games. USC, LSU. I mean,
yes,
hello.
Yes.
I mean, those teams are right there on the bubble with both our brackets.
Yeah, no, you're right. So let me ask you that. Out of those first four that I have, which one would be the most exciting to you? And who would you have winning these? I know I have mine, but I mean, these are hard things to forecast. I feel good about A&M beating East Carolina. I feel somewhat decent about Iowa beating Tennessee. The other two, buckle up. I got no fucking idea. You know what I mean? Is there one which one would you want to see most out of those four?
Probably that one on the bottom. Michigan, Notre Dame, those two old brands. I probably would lean to Notre Dame with the being in South Bend. But I would like to see an SEC team go to Iowa. That would make me happy. See, hey, take your southern ass up to the cold in the old windstorm. Let's go. In the cornfield.
Oh yeah, they're not going to know about that on December 20th.
Oh God. There's always so many hand warmers for you guys in the South.
They've always had so much of an advantage because they play your non-con games like your first 3 weeks of the season or first 4 weeks of the season. Yeah. It's like, no, it's like Alabama playing at Wisconsin this year. They're like, oh, see, we're finally going to the North. Doesn't fucking count if it's September 17th or something. That's not cold yet. So I think that's fascinating too. The LSU Oregon game, I feel like I'd have no idea what's going on. So after that, that's when so after the first round, so I have Michigan beating Notre Dame mainly because of the matchups. I think Michigan's defense would just shut down Notre Dame's offense. And I think Michigan, even both defenses are phenomenal, but I think Michigan would eventually, I think their offense might be a little bit better than, I think Michigan's defense is better than Notre Dame's defense. Not by much, but I think it's better. Now I do think Notre Dame's offense is a tiny bit better than Michigan's coming into the season, but I trust the team that has the better defense more than the better offense. So I have Michigan 17-14 winning in South Bend. And I took Oregon to beat LSU in a 44-41 game there in Autzen. I had Iowa mucking up Tennessee, just didn't know what was going on. I got Iowa winning 28-20 28-16. You know, just an ugly game. And then I had, unfortunately, I did have East Carolina getting kind of whooped by A&M, like something like I don't know, 35-13 or something. But then that sets up the round two. Round two, I have A&M taking on the Utah Utes in Glendale, Arizona, which would be fascinating to me because Utah would have that crowd. I think A&M obviously has that money and they'd travel, but that's right there in Utah country. So I think it would be. I think Utah would have that crowd like 60-40. Then I had Iowa, Georgia, which is in Atlanta, which is disgusting. How many fucking games does Georgia get to play in Atlanta? Didn't they win the national championship a couple of years ago with that being in Atlanta or playing the national championship? Hey, how about we move to a different location every once in a while? Crazy idea. Georgia would fuck up Iowa in that filthy Mercedes-Benz stadium there.
That would be 30-0. It'd be so ugly to watch.
Yes. They would fuck them up. And then this would be an interesting one because look, I'm taking Oregon just because I believe they have like they're deeper along the lines of scrimmage, but the Rose Bowl would be Oregon, Louisville, and like I think Jeff Brom's one of these guys in like gigantic games for the most part. He normally packs a good punch in those big time games, so it'd be interesting because I think much like Washington was a problem for Oregon. I think Louisville might be able to move the ball like that, but I still took Oregon to get the dub. They would have the crowd because Louisville coming all the way to LA. And then I have a rematch of Michigan, Ohio State, and I have Ohio State beating them for the second time. And then Ryan Day, they're gonna build the guy a fucking statue after that. So the second time they beat Michigan in one season, can you imagine that? People would complain, or people always people always speculate though that it's like the rematch would be boring. No, it would not. Rematch would be awesome. It would actually suck that it's in New Orleans, but because if it was at the Rose Bowl, it'd be phenomenal. But I think it's those. What about the second round matchups? Which one jumps out to you the most out of those?
I mean Michigan, Ohio State, just because it would be a rematch of the best rivalry in college football, arguably. But I mean, the thing that sucks, man, and I don't mean to beat the dead horse that I know you beat every week, but it sucks that 3 out of 4 are in fucking domes.
Yeah, it's horrible. Actually.
That
sucks.
Horrible. I mean,
stop making college football the NFL. We want on-campus games. On-campus games. On-campus games. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I still think like to me the most interesting match would be the Michigan Ohio State. That would bring such a fucking huge TV number though. Then after that, I have Oregon taking on Ohio State. Now I have them playing. This would be their third matchup this season because I have Oregon beating Ohio State in Autzen, and then losing at Lucas Oil in that filthy Big Ten championship in that stadium, and then beating them in the Cotton Bowl, which is Jerry's World, disgusting, and moving along to the national championship. Then I have Utah, Georgia, and I'll say this, man, I do think if this game, I would love to see this game happen because I would take Georgia. I'm taking Georgia to win the game. But if there's anyone that I think could fuck with Kirby Smart's, I think Whittingham would be very interesting. I remember he beat Saban when Saban had a really good team there, and I just feel like Whittingham,
Harbaugh too.
He got Harbaugh twice, I think, right? Or no, maybe once. It would be very interesting to see that game. But I have then the national championship. So wait, Georgia they get the week 1 game against Clemson in the Georgia Dome or whatever the fuck they're calling it now. They get the SEC championship there. And then they get a second round playoff game. And then the national championship. This is what I'm talking about. It's ridiculous. But I do have Georgia playing Oregon for the national championship. And remember, they embarrassed Dan Lanning in his first game at Oregon. Yeah. In that very building. And I think Oregon gets revenge and upsets the Georgia Bulldogs in the national championship. And Phil Knight can go quietly off into the night with a national championship because he's spending like it. Anyway, curious your take on the Oregon Ducks winning the national championship.
I mean, I ended up having them get upset to sneak peek, but it's hard to pick holes at the roster. I mean, they've invested in their roster. They've been really good the last couple of years, banging on the door. Lanning's got to prove it in a big game for me, but he is still a young head coach, and I think he will eventually win a national championship. We'll see if it's this year, but bringing in Dylan Gabriel, that's an upgrade in my opinion from Bo Nix. I know Bo Nix ended up winning the Broncos job already, but I think Gabriel's a better quarterback for that system than Nix.
One of the things I like too was he brought in Dante Moore. So if Gabriel gets injured with one of those little Kakanimi slides, they have Dante Moore, who's a guy who started games. That shit matters, man. You look at Georgia; they lost like Vandergrift to Kentucky, and you're like, man, if Beck goes down, I kind of like Oregon's situation better if something like that were to happen. But I mean, anyway, I just think it's super phenomenal. It's super exciting. Utah Georgia would be exciting. Like the only game that I really think would be horrible potentially could be Iowa, Georgia, and Atlanta. Like maybe you could sell me on the ECU at A&M because I think A&M's talent gap is bigger, but I still think it'd be phenomenal for the sport. Now let's go to yours. All right. Because, but before I do that, I want to tell you folks out there that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Have you ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football? Do you even know what a sports betting model is? Well, SGPN's proud partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in a matter of seconds. All right, and it'll give you predictions for betting lines, or money lines, spreads, totals, and props, all that good stuff. You could build your own model too, or you could just copy the top performing models from the leaderboard. But me, I would press that build the custom model for me. All right. And then Rhythm will build it around that. And Rhythm gives you predictions for every game, every player prop. And they got a slew of stats, research, and trend analysis they're going to give you to give you even more of a betting insight. The Rhythm college football model, love Delaware State. Of course, my college football model, love Delaware State too. Plus those 40 points as they covered on the island. And we cashed in. Build your own model. Or get ready for college football week 1. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back. Colby's a coward. Hey, I like this chat.
Talking shit.
It was funny. I was calling my dad the other day and FaceTimed him for his birthday. And he goes, "Son, you kind of look like shit." My wife heard that and was like, "Your dad just say you look like a piece of shit." I think my dad said, "You son, you look like a piece of shit." Right. And, my wife heard that and she was a little confused. She was like, "You guys talk like that?" And I was like, yeah. Well, and I did look like shit. Yeah. I was sleep deprived and I look like shit. So appreciate all the people in the chat calling me a piece of shit. Let's jump over to Moneyline Maxes. I found this one super intriguing and we did this without consulting each other. Moneyline Max, as you see the Fire Moneyline Mac logo down there.
There you go. Max
yes.
Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
He has Notre Dame, LSU. Wait, would this be?
Yes.
Did I
Brian
fuck this
Kelly back in South Bend?
But wait, did I mess this up? Because wouldn't the top one be?
No, you got it right. You got it right.
Yeah.
Bama's.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my 8-9 game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame, this is fantastic. Are you kidding me?
This is a storyline right here, ain't it?
LSU goes into the Golden Dome.
Yeah.
I got to put that on the bottom next time. I think I fucked that up. LSU goes into the Golden Dome. Brian Kelly and his family. This would be. Please let this happen. Please let this happen. Yeah. I mean, there's so many great storylines that can happen here. Yeah. I mean, LSU would lose that game. I don't know 100%. Though, because I don't know how Notre Dame's offense is going to be this year, but I think they're going to be in the playoffs. But it's that crowd and how cold that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Notre Dame could get them. Then you have what is this? So what number is this right here? Alabama
This
Jacksonville
is
State.
512. This is 512. I
So
think
why
Bama
why would this not be on the top side of it then?
because doesn't the one go on top? Ohio State's my 1 seed.
Oh,
Yeah, Clemson's my
okay.
4. Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
5 or 4.
Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
Okay.
So
I think I just fucked it up on building it. Okay. But yeah, Alabama, Jacksonville State. You explain yourself.
staying in the state of Alabama. So I think the Mountain West and the American are going to beat up on each other. Everybody's crowning Liberty. Jack State's got a game week 2 at Louisville that I think that they can hang in there. Maybe if they can change the narrative there, keep it close, maybe win. But then I think they've already seen Liberty last year. I think they could beat Liberty at Liberty and then beat them in the title game, and that would get them in the 12th seed. I think Bama's going to lose it. I think they're going to lose to Georgia twice. I think they're going to get to the SEC title game, lose to Georgia again in the Georgia Dome. But I think kind of like March Madness, I don't think they're going to penalize them for losing the game. So I think they're going to be the 5 seed before the game. They lose it. They're like, oh, they lost to Georgia, and they're going to put them as the 5 seed. So Bama is my 5 seed. Oregon, I have losing to Ohio State in that Big Ten title game. So they go to the 6. A&M beats Texas in a playing game, the final game of the regular season. So horns down for me. That game
man, wait. So Mike Elko and A&M heading up to Autzen Stadium. Yep. December 20th. I mean, all these, can you imagine? I mean, we know Notre Dame Stadium will be rocking. Tuscaloosa, Bryant Denny would be rocking. And then Oregon A&M would be a fucking game, man. Dan Lanning defense against Mike Elko defense. Sign me the fuck up. And then love this one too, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, talk about battle of the trenches here. Michigan, Utah. Utah's won the last 2 there, and they've won at the Big House before. This is my only upset in the first round. Whittingham and company go to the Big House and get it done.
That's hilarious because I have Michigan in my only upset in the first round.
Yeah.
I have Michigan winning against Notre Dame, but this game, obviously they've played. I think Utah has caught them. I think they're like 3-1 since the year 2000. Yeah. Yep. That would be a fascinating, dude. That would be a fascinating game too, because Utah can handle that cold. You know what I mean? You're coming into the Big House on December 20th. That would be fucking awesome. Then your second round though, you have Ohio. Notre Dame beats LSU to advance to go to Glendale, Arizona to take on Ohio State. Remember a season ago, if only Notre Dame had the 12, 11 guys on the field instead of, what was it? They had 10 and then they had 12, or what was it? I think it was 10 for multiple plays to end the game. Who do you got winning that one? You got Ohio State.
I got the Buckeyes.
Blowout,
in the
or what do you think?
I think they get away late, kind of like they did, 2 years ago in Columbus. But I think, Freeman played there. I mean, that game's personal. He's got to win one of these against Ohio State. But I think they just have too many guys with Chip Kelly. Then I got Bama over Clemson. They beat Dabo, loses to his alma mater again in a big game.
Those games always deliver. Right?
But the game's in Atlanta, and it's
true.
I know Clemson will get some fans, but just Alabama, they travel like crazy. Here's the one game. I was like, I can't go all chalk. Everybody's going to say the Big 12, they don't deserve a bye, blah, blah, blah. Oregon's going to wipe K-State. K-State has a week of film on Oregon, has the rest. K-State over Oregon. Dan Lanning lays an egg in a big game. Oregon would be the one out of those 4 for me to choke in the quarterfinals. So,
I can tell you this.
Let's go Cats.
Look, that would be the game that appeals to me most out of this second round. Now, I mean, Clemson, Alabama always deliver, but we've seen that. Ohio State, Notre Dame, we've seen that. They just did a home and home. Yep. Now Georgia, Utah is on my bracket. I said that appeals to me. So it still does. But Kansas State, Oregon would be super fucking cool in the Rose Bowl too. And then you cap it off with the Sugar Bowl there. Georgia, Utah in New Orleans, where Utah caught Saban. Could they do that?
I think that the teams that have a bye definitely have an advantage because it's one less game of getting banged on. I mean, like Utah and Michigan's gonna be a war. Oregon, Texas A&M should be a physical game, and Notre Dame, LSU. Obviously, I think Alabama will take care of Jack State in the little brother, big brother game down there. But I just think that the teams that have a bye definitely have an advantage here in the next round. So I got Georgia. Most likely, you would probably flip Atlanta and New Orleans. Would you agree? Georgia would select Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they would.
Yeah.
Man, and then you have Ohio
Bama,
State,
Ohio
Alabama,
Yeah.
Kansas State, Georgia. And some people in the chat, Weehawk was saying, please don't have this happen where Alabama plays Georgia for the national championship. You expand to 12 and we get the same national championship we had a couple years ago, but it's very possible. And then you have Alabama winning the national championship. Explain yourself.
I think that you're going to just see Bama get better and better. I think that young secondary, they're going to take a loss or two early to Georgia, maybe at LSU. And then I just think DeBauer just coaching them up week by week, they're going to get better and better. That was my whole logic on them beating Ohio State. One game to win. I'm taking DeBauer over Ryan Day, X's and O's. And Milrose got a chip on his shoulder. Last time we saw him, he got stuffed at the goal line in a game where they were right there to beat Michigan, that dominant Michigan team. So DeBauer and Milroe, that combo, chip on their shoulder coming this year. They lose twice to Georgia, but get them the third time to win with Saban's players.
I'll tell you this, man. I am really excited to see what he can do with Milroe. I like Milroe's game. A lot of people give him shit last year. I like his game. He's my type of quarterback.
He's tough.
Yeah, I think DeBoer might get a little more creative with them than Tommy Rees and Nick Saban did. Yeah, I'm fascinated by this. So let's talk about it. I love Jacksonville State in there. You know how fucking awesome that would be. They're just in the FCS like what, a couple years ago. So
Rich Rod, year 3, baby.
Oh man, that would be great. Let's talk about this week before we get out of here and talk about just. There's so many pivotal matchups that this is why this thing is so much better. And look, you could have Jacksonville State plays Coastal on Thursday.
I know.
You could be your bracket could be fucked next week this time when we're doing this show if Coastal goes into Jacksonville State and gets that dub.
I know.
Right?
Thinking about that, I was like,
but that's why it's awesome. That game becomes so much more meaningful now. And now that you have a bracket where you can like forecast this stuff, you're like, oh wow, okay. And next week we'll change it. And by the way, we're not just gonna stick to our bracket, but we will show at the end of the year. I will create a slideshow that shows all of the evolution of the bracket. But because it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's on Thursday. North Carolina, Minnesota is one. North Carolina's schedule is so easy they could end up in the ACC championship. That is one of those 70 teams that I actually think you can make the argument that North Carolina could be a playoff team this year. That is a Thursday game. Colorado, North Dakota State. I don't know. The Big 12, it's wide open. So maybe that game has an impact. I don't know. We'll see. But I can tell you this. Saturday morning, and actually Friday night, even TCU. We've seen TCU go to the national championship recently.
Yeah.
So
I'm higher on
Stanford
TCU than most people. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. They bring in a new defensive coordinator with Andy Avalos, but TCU is taking on Stanford Friday night. That one actually could have some implications, but the big ones, I think, for my bracket already, is that Clemson Georgia game because I don't have Clemson winning the ACC. I have Louisville winning the ACC. If Clemson beats Georgia, that is a huge win for the. It might just fuck up my bracket because then 2 ACC teams might be getting in. Maybe Louisville still wins the ACC, but as long as you have that win to tout and say no, well, Clemson beat Georgia. That means Clemson might not even need to win the ACC to get in. If you have a quality win like that, that is a gigantic game for this. Obviously Georgia can lose a couple times and still get in. Clemson, I'm not sure they have that luxury. You know what I mean? So it's much bigger for Clemson than it is for Georgia. It's much bigger for the ACC teams in general. But that is certainly, to me, one that is vital for this playoff. It is a big time game, and no one's talking about the Clemson Tigers, are they?
No, and I know you got multiple shows coming up where you gotta save some bullets for your picks, but I think Clemson's going to be right there to win outright on Saturday. I think people have forgotten how good Clemson was defensively last year. They're almost all back. Klubnik year 2 in the system with Riley. Dabo as a dog. I like backing Dabo as a dog. The only thing is it's in Atlanta, but if you remember Georgia's first national championship year, they played in, I think, Charlotte, and it was a 10-3 game, and they only lost because they threw a pick 6. That was the difference. It was a slugfest.
It was tied at 3-3 in the fourth quarter.
DJ threw the fucking pick. So I think Clemson, you're going to see a little vintage Clemson this weekend with the little chip on their shoulder. Can't wait for that game.
Yeah, you could argue that's the biggest one. Mm-hmm. But then, like I said, Penn State, West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, West Virginia won 9 games last season. Why can't they win the Big 12?
Why
they bring
not?
back Neil Brown. They bring back Neil Brown. They bring back Garrett Green. And Penn State is one that I had at 9-3. And guess what? I had them at 9-3 based on them losing this fucking game, right? Or this or another one. I put this in the Wisconsin bid they'll get caught up somewhere, right? But that makes this game absolutely critical for, if they could win this for either team. Imagine the Big 12, not only West Virginia, but imagine the Big 12 having that, because Penn State could still go on to win the Big 10 championship. We saw them win the Big 10 championship, in the past 5 years or 6 years, whatever year that was. I think it was like 18, 19. That game.
I want to add one thing real quick, because I know neither of us had Penn State in there. We moved the goalposts have been moved. It's always, Penn State would have been in the playoffs 6 out of the last 8 years. Now all the pressure in the world's on them, because everybody's like, Penn State's going to get in. Franklin has laid eggs in games like going to Morgantown. So that's going to be a hell of a game. Obviously, I'm going to take my Mountaineers, but you mentioned it for the Big 12, where you're going to have a lot of 9-3, 10-2 teams. If Penn State's 9-3, 10-2, and one of the losses is to West Virginia, the Big 12 is going to have a hell of a case over Penn State in a tiebreaker situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All these games are so much more meaningful than they were in a 4-team invitational. These are so much more meaningful games. South Dakota State's also taking on Oklahoma State. This is a potential, and same with Colorado, North Dakota State. Because if they end up having good seasons within the Big 12, this shit will get brought up. Even though South Dakota State's a fucking juggernaut, you know what I mean? But you still got to watch it, because you're just like, oh my God, if they lose this, Oklahoma State could do what they did last year and win the Big 12. But at the same time, you are definitely getting the 4th seed. You know what I mean?
Or the G5's jumping our ass.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. There is a good chance for that, at making this such a more meaningful game. Miami is at Florida. I know people don't have Florida's win total at 5, but everyone has Miami projected to win the ACC every goddamn year for the past 20 years. Huge game for, not only that, it's huge for the ACC because it's against the SEC. The ACC had a winning record against the ACC or against the SEC a season ago. If they can duplicate that and say, for the past 2 years we've done this, as a fact, these are games that have a bigger impact than even the teams on the field. Even the teams on the outside, in the conference, feel it.
Do you think those rosters are that much different? I know Miami paid a shitload for all their guys, but Florida's got some guys, so I know that everybody just talks about their schedule. That game's in the Swamp. I mean,
yeah.
Cam Ward's first game, got to go to the Swamp.
I can't wait for this game, dude.
Cristobal,
I can't wait for this game, dude. Oh man, it's so good. Then you even get I think Boise at Georgia Southern is a dangerous fucking game. Everyone's got Boise as the group of 5 or Memphis. Oh man, I think Georgia Southern's going to give them a game. They're going to give them a game. This game would mean nothing a year ago. It would mean absolutely nothing a year ago. Now you got to seek this out. You're like, oh shit, they're the odds-on favorite to make the group of 5. If you lose to Georgia Southern, guess what? You are no longer the odds favorite to get to the group of 5 spot. Like I said, they've added value to all of these games. And then obviously you have the Kalen DeBoer experience. Now they're not going to lose to Western Kentucky, but I'm saying you still want to see what they look like as you have them as a national champ.
I would bust my bracket.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way. I'm not buying that. There's a chance there, but I will buy Notre Dame A&M being. Now I have this game. See, this is one where I guess the fans could say this game's irrelevant for you, Colby, because you have both in the playoffs. But no, it's still very relevant because I have A&M as the 5 seed. I have A&M playing Georgia in the SEC championship. No, I'm sorry. No, I don't. I have LSU playing Georgia in the SEC championship and losing badly, which almost knocked them out of the playoffs. A&M I have out because of the tiebreaker scenario. So they have to be there at 5 because they don't have that extra loss that LSU has, right? So, but still, this is one that is critical because I have A&M winning this game, and Notre Dame, if you lose this game, I almost think you don't have the luxury of losing another one. So it is a super, super critical game there in College Station. I mean, I'll reveal. I think people probably know my pick anyway. But who you got winning this one?
You know, I think I'm going to be on the other side. I think I'm going to take the Irish. Just year 3 of Freeman versus game 1 of Elko. I don't like that he's seen Leonard. He knows Leonard, but I just think Notre Dame's roster right now is a little bit better than A&M. But I mean, would it shock me if A&M won? No. I mean, I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Definitely going to take the 3 though with Notre Dame. I think it's a 3-point game either way.
Someone asked me the other day, what game am I most excited to see Saturday? I had a really hard time because I was like Penn State, West Virginia, Florida, Miami, and this, and then like Clemson, Georgia, yes, but that's at a neutral site, so like doesn't hit my highest of highs. Like the game in the Swamp is like better than a game to me. Like even though they're 2 juggernauts, like Miami and Florida in the Swamp, even if it ends up being a blowout, I like seeing college football in its element. But yeah, I think that game, that Notre Dame Texas A&M game, could be super critical. After that, you probably go to Sunday's LSU USC in Vegas.
What a
game.
You
talked about this because this really is like I had LSU as I think the last team. No, I had Michigan as the last team in, but I had LSU as the second to last team in. That is going to like the games. This game is going to. I had USC with the same fucking record as Michigan, but not getting in because of this. One of the elements being this game. That's what I'm saying. These games are all so much more critical to me.
And the elements favor USC here. USC, Lincoln Riley, he wants to just play in the dome, spread you out, throw it all over the yard. I had LSU in the playoff, but I kind of like USC. I'm not going to lie. I think everybody's sleeping on Lincoln Riley a little bit just because Caleb Williams played a little too much hero ball for my liking last year. I think that offense is going to hum. He didn't forget how to coach quarterbacks, everybody.
Yeah, that's why I took a shot on Miller Moss to win the Heisman, man.
Yeah.
Exciting times there. And then Boston College, Florida State. Now I will still give this one because Florida State fans, they are. It is true to say like, well, they lost that game, so their playoff chances aren't over. And you're right, they're not. But you better beat Boston College, all right? Because I'll tell you that you only have so many chances. You lose this, I do think your playoff chances are over. Now, theoretically, you could win out, but I still think you would have 2 losses in the ACC. So like, I would say like 99% chance. I would say you lose this game to Boston College, you would have the same odds to me as Wake Forest winning the ACC or Duke winning the ACC. So like theoretically, you would still be like you just have to win out. But at that point, like you've shown us no signs of winning. You've already lost your opening 2 ACC games. Why should we buy in? And I think we'd have Memphis on deck then, right? And that, I mean, all these games fantastic, man. All right, so this is our show. I mean, we're gonna go through. Obviously, the more results happen, the more turmoil and the more shit talking we could do to one another. But
do elimination. Who's been eliminated this week?
yeah. I mean, I can tell you this. I love the fact East Carolina's playing Norfolk State and not Coastal Carolina. Because my bracket, I'll tell you, that might be a look. I took Jacksonville State to beat Coastal Carolina, but I mean, I feel like 60-40 on that. You know what I mean? So
hey, that's one of my angles. Like they get a shot right off the bat, national TV game to if they can come out look good, they start a narrative. Colby, I want to add just maybe one or two more games that have a little bit of headlines. What if Fresno State gives Michigan a game for the Mountain West, like a little bit of bragging rights? Hey,
True.
We hung in there at the big house. I mean, it's Moore's first game coaching after Harbaugh. And then I mean JMU
Tim Skipper,
Charlotte,
yeah.
JMU Charlotte. I mean, you got some first year head coaches. That
UNLV Houston is even a little intriguing.
Willie Fritz, yep, versus UNLV.
I mean, UNLV played for the Mountain West Championship last year. If they get to the championship again this year, they might have the inside track on getting to the playoffs. It's certainly possible. You're right though, and even like Colorado State, Texas, like much in the vein of Fresno, Michigan. If Colorado State can just keep with, even if you just lose close, that shit might matter because they could win. They could win the Mountain West. I think they're definitely a bowl team. I think they're definitely a contender to win the Mountain West. So just fascinating stuff here. Another one I want to throw out. Miami, Ohio won the MAC last year. They bring back a ton. They play at that. They're basically playing on Lake Michigan.
I know it's so fun.
Right?
It's so Northwestern.
But dude, if they win this, Northwestern won 8 games last year. If they win this game, the more I've evaluated the MAC more and more, I kind of think they could run the table in the MAC. Now, I mean, I know that sounds crazy because the MAC is the MAC, but they just bring back so much more starters than almost everybody almost every other team. I think Bowling Green would be the only one like from returning production that I would feel confident saying like, okay, Miami, Ohio beats Northwestern. Northwestern goes to another bowl. That's a key win in a spot where if you go 11-1 or, let's say they go 11-1 and their one loss is Notre Dame, but they beat Northwestern, who's a bowl team in the Big Ten. I think that could be in the mix for that spot, especially they won the MAC a year ago. This would not be a fluke. So, that's another one to add to the mix. I mean, there's
Martin calling out people for stealing his kicker.
Alabama. And Kirk Ferentz getting suspended for 1 game for what? Like sending a text message to Cade McNamara when he's still at Michigan. Right. Meanwhile, like it's like that meme of Naked Gun where all the shit's going behind him. One more I want to throw out. Virginia Tech at Vanderbilt.
It's another can't lose game for the ACC.
Yes. And Virginia Tech's a team a lot of people have as their darling to play in the Kramer's yelling horrible pick. I'm just saying for bracketology's sake, that's a key game. I can't wait for this season. That game would never matter before. Now you're sitting there saying, fuck yeah. Week 1, Virginia Tech and Vanderbilt at the construction zone. Let's go. This is coming every week, folks. Bracketology. You're going to have a new bracket by me. Actually, no, you're going to have the same bracket because I'm going to have picking winners over here. All right. But that's the one. I'm looking at your bracket right now and I'm like, what's the one that could bite you the most? It's Jacksonville State. Sure. Clemson.
It might be done here in 48 hours.
Yeah. I mean, Clemson could get waxed by Georgia, or maybe what happens if Clemson waxed Georgia? Then I don't think you're going to feel super confident that Georgia is going to go to the national championship, but I highly doubt that. I'm trying to think what are the ones you could be wrong about? I think those are really the only ones. I mean, maybe Fresno gives Michigan a game and we don't feel as good about Michigan.
LSU,
and Notre Dame.
If LSU drops to USC outright, they're gonna and I think you and I think that USC has every shot to win that game. It's going to be a little bit of an uphill to win a tiebreaker over a Big Ten team if they have a loss to USC. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I wonder what game. I think the one I'm sweating because I have Michigan and A&M both in. I think the biggest sweat to me week 1. I don't have a lot of meat on the bone as far as elite matchups for week 1. But I'll tell you this: like week 2, Tennessee, NC State. But like week 1 for me, I guess it's Notre Dame, A&M would be one because that could move my bracket. I could if Notre Dame wins, then Notre Dame would look more like the 5 seed. Mm-hmm. And then Georgia, Clemson. I think those are the big ones for me week 1. The rest are kind of, but man, I can't wait. I can't wait, folks. We're gonna be doing this every week. Make sure you give Moneyline Mac a follow on Twitter at Moneyline_Mac. Check out the Big 12 college experience. Check out the college basketball experience. Doing all these fantastic coaching interviews. All right, get on over there. All right, and also give me a Twitter follow on Twitter at TCE on. Or Jesus, I can't even talk. I'm on Twitter at TheColBD. The college football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Also hop on over to YouTube, youtube.com/the college experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. Be back in a little bit talking Buffalo Bulls football. Yeah. But check out the Stadium Heads podcast where we talk about the history of college football stadiums, why college football is the greatest thing to ever hit planet Earth. Also check out the college basketball experience, as I just said, the college baseball experience. Don't forget about the great work Noah Beanick's been doing. All those come together as one. YouTube.com/the college experience. Till next time, folks. This is the college football experience, week 1 bracketology style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's looking and the whole world's looking with the cameras. Run and shoot.